All right, let's take a look at video channel overlays inside of vMix. Such a powerful feature inside of vMix to have 4 channels of overlays. So we've got 1 channel, 2 channel, 3 channels, 4 channels of overlays. And we've talked about how these overlays are how they work, and kind of using them as opposed to multi-views. You've got these little quick buttons to get rid of channels, add them and overlay them. But let's take a closer look at overlays and how they are used in vMix so that you could really use them to their maximum capability. So as you know, there's 4 channels of overlays, plus there is 2 stinger channels. And we're going to talk about stingers in an upcoming video. Again, everything's kind of building one after the next. But let's just look at the 4 channels right now. So as you know, there are 4 channels for every input. So if we zoom into an input here, we see these 4 little buttons here that we can click, right? And those select which channel that we're going to, which channel you're sending that input to. Once you've done that, in here, you can actually recall the latest channel that was used by toggling that button. So if I put the PTZ Optics logo on channel 4 up there and I turn it off, and then I put this as channel 4, basically now channel 4 will recall whatever the latest thing was on channel 4. So these are these little hotkeys that you can use to toggle on and off channels. It's very handy to have these in the middle here, but also on every single input. Now in the overlays area, and you can see that button there in the bottom right, the overlay button, this opens up all the options that we have for customizing what the overlays actually do. So for example, let's say overlay 1, it's set to do a fade right now. But instead of a fade, we'd like it to do a cube zoom. And that's all I'm going to change here just to show what this does. So we changed it from a fade to a cube zoom. So this overlay area allows us to change what they actually do. And this is handy, especially if, like, here's a good example. Like, let's say we use overlay 2 to, instead of fading, we want it to vertical slide. So it slides in from the top. We're saying that looks good for the way that we have this set up. Maybe we want to change it to a slide reverse. We want to have it come from the side. There's a lot of different ways depending on how you want it to do, but this is where you start to edit and change what the overlays do. So you can change the effect, you can change the type, you can do a picture-in-picture location, which allows you to kind of have it inside of a space. So for example, now it's much smaller. That is one great way to manage, if you want it to be a picture-in-picture as opposed to a full screen. So basically, this input here, I used the input positions to put it full screen, but and you can see here that if I use input 2, it goes full screen. But in the overlay area, if I decide for it to be a picture-in-picture and I want it to be over here on the right-hand side, click OK, it'll take that whole input and make it small and overlay it on the side. So that's really a nice feature to be able to take any picture or input and, when I hit 2, make it small and put it next to the person that's presenting, for example. This is a good example where I'd say, okay, pull that in. All right, so we're still in overlays here. We're taking a closer look. It can either be full screen or picture-in-picture. We can choose the effect. We can choose the effect duration. So that's how long does it take for that to go through. And then the duration of the effect itself. And then down here with the stinger inputs and cut points, we will learn about that in more detail when we do our overview of stingers. Stingers are really great overlays. You can set them up to be part of this here, but we're not going to do that in this video just yet. So 4 channels of overlays and the ability to change what each channel does, accessing them directly through the input buttons down there or here in the center. These center buttons do remember the most recent input that was used by them, so you can quickly recall it as you wish. And the overlay section here for editing them all. Now, I'll mention, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, that we can create shortcuts to use overlays. So let's say I just want to hit button 1 on my keyboard to trigger an overlay on input 1. We can actually choose something for that to be. So now when I hit the, I have to restart vMix. I shouldn't have to restart vMix to do that. Nope. When I hit the 1 button, it will automatically trigger this. So you can set up triggers to do overlays, and that's a really nice way. But again, we're going to talk about shortcuts in an upcoming video. Again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So that is how to use overlay channels inside of vMix. And you've pretty much seen all of the details on how overlays work.